The National Human Rights Commission says the commemoration of the Day of the African Child is an opportunity for stock-taking on how Nigeria has fared in promoting the rights of children. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, said this in Abuja at a stakeholders forum to commemorate the day. The theme of the 2022 commemoration is Eliminating Harmful Practices Affecting Children, Progress on Policy and Practice since 2013. Ojukwu, represented by Mr. Benedict Agu, Director, Monitoring Unit, said it was another opportunity to reflect on policies and practices affecting children and the way forward.
The day presents an opportunity to take stock of what has been done with regard to the adoption of policies and practices and reflect on what more needs to be done to effectively eliminate harmful practices affecting children in Africa. A lot of children are faced with physical, psychological, sexual, and economic violence and exploitation, including negative, harmful practices, among which are early forced marriage, female genital mutilation, and trafficking, among other things. These issues have not only had a devastating effect on their lives, they have also negatively impacted on their rights and their access to education. Government commitment to respect fundamental freedoms and human rights is demonstrated by the fact that Nigeria is a party to all major regional and international human rights instruments, including but not limited to the International Covenant on Social and Cultural Rights, Convention on the Rights of the Child, African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and African Charter on Rights and Welfare of the Child. I'm particularly delighted to know that the Stakeholders Forum will avail us the opportunity to lend our voices to discussions centered on how to devise and strengthen national accountability mechanisms that will deter harmful practices against children. The panel session will focus on today's theme, as well as propose new strategies towards mitigating harmful practices affecting children in Nigeria.
Speaking, Ms. Eva Gava, member African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, said that the day was for introspection and stock-taking on commitment to the protection of the child.
The Day of the African Child is also a day of introspection and stock-taking, when governments, UN agencies, NGOs, partners, and relevant stakeholders reflect on the mileage covered in the implementation of child rights and reaffirm their commitment to child protection issues in their domains. The event also sensitizes duty bearers on the importance of engaging children in their own issues and promoting participation and inclusion in line with the principles of child participation.
Similarly, the Minister of Women Affairs, Mrs. Pauline Talen, represented by Mrs. Ocha Kalu, said that the ministry is mandated to see the welfare of women, children, and vulnerable persons. She enumerated some of the interventions by the ministry, thanked the NHRC, and called for stronger collaboration between the two.
The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs has the mandate to stimulate active participation of women and children in all facets of national life, including their empowerment, protection, and advancement of the social lives of women, children, and other vulnerable persons in Nigeria. The ministry has made progress in spearheading a range of policy documents to address harmful cultural practices, such as the implementation of the Child Rights Act 2003, National Guidelines on Establishment of Childcare Institutions, National Strategy on Ending Child Marriage, National Gender Policy, National Child Policy, Resource Manual on Nutritional Care and Support for Vulnerable Groups, and other strategic documents in the area of advocacy, sensitization on women and children issues. The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, as the government organ saddled with the responsibilities of protecting women and children in Nigeria, has taken steps to checkmate harmful cultural practices affecting children, along with other forms of gender-based violence that has risen in recent times, especially during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these interventions by the ministry include the Spotlight Initiative to eliminate violence against women and children, establishment of a toll-free line to report cases of GBV, awareness creation on the provisions of the Child Rights Act among students in secondary schools, the launch of Movement for Good to end female genital mutilation, capacity building of staff members through training and retraining to handle cases of GBV, among others. At this juncture, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this event, the National Human Rights Commission, for all their good work over the years as an ally in upholding the rights of Nigerian children. I say a big thank you. And I will equally call for stronger collaboration between the two ministries for the achievement of greater results for Nigerian children. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate the 2022 Day of the African Child, I call on stakeholders, duty bearers, including parents and children themselves, to live up to their responsibilities. By so doing, we will have a crop of well-rounded individuals that will actualize their potentials for effective contribution to nation building and sustainable national development. May I quickly add that posterity will never forget us for the good works we have all pledged to undertake for the benefit and well-being of our dear children.
Speaking also, Mrs. Chibuzo Umosu, Chair, Federation of Female Lawyers, Abuja Branch, represented by Doshima Abege, called on government to be proactive on the issues of child rights and called on government to establish family courts across the nation to ensure justice for children either as victims or offenders.
The actions or inactions of government impact children more strongly than any other group in society. For this reason, we want to seize the opportunity to also celebrate the federal government through the Ministry of Women Affairs for seeing to the establishment of the family court for children in 16 states of the country to ensure justice for the children either as victims or as offenders. A lot remains to be done. However, with the collective support of relevant bodies such as the National Human Rights Commission, Ministry of Women Affairs, NAPTIC, and FIDA, we believe much can be attained to the advantage of children. And as we commemorate the International Day of the African Child, our appeal as FIDA is that leaders here present and beyond remember the obligations we have to children.